In the last video, I talked about how Diane was going to just sit here and forgive herself, and it was going to be infuriating. In this video, she does the exact same thing. So congratulations, we make a big circle.
Processing the loss of a child due to estrangement. Reflection. What can I control? Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. When you're ready for deep reflection, I have a few tips to help you through it. So first of all, you want to set aside uninterrupted time.
Sometimes it's a little hard to do these commentaries back to back because I'm repeating myself. Like I said this so many times in the one we just watched, where I go, she's giving advice she does not have the experience to give. She's not smart enough, just as most of us are not, to sit with herself and reflect positively or in a way that helps her actually grow. So to have her sit herself down, tell you to sit yourself down, and to just know yourself well enough to grow is stupid because she doesn't. You should seek help from a professional, someone who has spent time learning how to help people grow and how to help people figure out what they want and what they need. Because you didn't do that. You didn't. You went through the very common experience of being a person, and now you have to learn from it. In the same way that you probably don't want to go to an orthodontist with crooked teeth, you probably shouldn't take advice from a woman who did not learn anything from being in this situation she's in. Again, if she was able to say, these are the things I did wrong, you should avoid doing them, and then gave advice, absolutely. I get that. But she says, I know something you don't because of the time I spent reflecting. Here's what I learned from nothing and can give to you. It's so hard to say things like that because it's so stupid. And I wish I thought the way they do for a day so I could learn why they do this.
Choose a time when you are least likely to be disturbed. Put it on your calendar and honor this appointment. Uninterrupted time alone is crucial. You want to find a quiet and comfortable space. Find a location where you feel at ease and you will be free from distraction.
A quiet and comfortable space like the Target parking lot. After yelling at the colored workers, again, she deleted the video where she talks about UCLA only taking in non-white medical students, and so they have to be underqualified, but not my business. The thing about Diane being a bad mom is that we are learning quickly, not even slowly anymore, quickly that Diane is a bad person. So it's not a stretch to say she's a bad mom. She's a bad person, and that is going to leak into the things that she does.
You can be at home, in your garden, in your car, out in the woods. Take a half day and schedule some serious time for this. You also want to maybe gather some necessary materials that could help you through this process. So if you have a notebook and a pen ready in case you want to take any notes, you may also find it helpful to have relevant books or resources or any kind of comforts at hand, like, a blanket or water or something like that. You want to prepare some reflective questions or prompts.
This is what I was about to get into. Sitting yourself in a room when you feel bad, when you're feeling grief or you're feeling sad is a terrible idea. You have to go in with a goal and steps to achieve that goal, which are then questions. You should figure out what it is you want to ask yourself, but you should think of it like chess, right? You could sit at a chessboard and play chess against yourself for the rest of your life. You're only going to be as good as you are against yourself. You can learn from a 2000 rated player on a random YouTube video in 25 minutes a lot more than you're ever going to learn from yourself. And from there, you could teach yourself a lot more. And that's like therapy. As much as you want to be the person who thinks they're smart enough to sit in a room and just explore the world in their own mind, you're not. You're not. This applies to you. This applies to Diane. This applies to me. You're not. Maybe you don't have time for therapy, but if you have time to sit yourself in a room forever and explore this, then you do. You do have time for therapy.
Ahead of time, these can guide your thinking and help you delve deeper into your situation. So, for example, what have I taken for granted in my relationship with this child?
I really wish, again, this goes back to the empathy thing. And if you have not watched these videos in order, I'm so sorry. I would probably watch the last 3 or 4. The last 3 specifically, maybe 4, because I repeat a lot of the same things, but so does she. So we're going back and forth. I wish she would make this personal in the way that she did at the beginning. In the beginning, she made it personal by blaming her daughter, by outing who her daughter was and her daughter's reasons that she found invalid. Now she's making it very generalized to try and appeal to an audience and try to seem like a good person. These are valid questions. You should ask yourself what you took for granted. The problem is Diane is not the type of person that can answer that honestly. She's going to say things like, oh, I wish I got to spend more time with her. But in that time, it would not have been enjoyable for her or the daughter. There's no world. We have not watched this video. This is my first time. There's no world in which I can see Diane asking these questions and then answering them. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm throwing this out there so that I can be wrong, but I really don't think I'm going to be.
What are my unmet expectations in this relationship?
And this has a different answer for when, right? Your expectation now is probably that you want your daughter back in your life, whereas your expectation when your daughter was in your life, you probably wish she was more like you, or less outward in her thoughts, or more conservative in the way she dresses. Not to say that her daughter doesn't dress conservatively. There's nothing wrong with the way her daughter dresses. It's not provocative in any way. But when she spoke of her daughter's cosplay, she spoke of it like it was.
What do I fear most regarding this child? What would it look like to let go of this pain? I would say that you want to allow some flexibility in your reflection. So while it's a good idea to have some structure, be open to where your thoughts might lead you. And true reflection often involves unexpected journeys of the mind. When your mind is turbulent, it's difficult to see. And when it's calm, everything becomes clear.
I thought she was going to make that rhyme. I thought she just wrote like a little couplet. She's just going to be like, when your mind is turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's clear, it's easier for you and me. Sometimes it's hard to think when you really have to pee. And I'm not here to tell you who it is you're supposed to be. And I was not prepared at all. Again, like I do the same thing where I get into these like talks and I pretend I'm a lot smarter than I am, but I'm not. I'm not here to pretend I'm smart in any way. I'm really not. Diane thinks she is, and Diane thinks she has a lot to say.
So work to the state of calm and clarity will follow. So getting started with the actual deep reflection. Without this reflection, we will just go blindly on our way. So again, you should understand that reflection can only be as deep as you are, and you are probably not that deep. You should seek therapy. You should seek help if this applies to you. Ensure physical comfort. Make sure you are absolutely comfortable in your environment. Remove any potential distractions like pets, people, noise. You want to disconnect from technology. So turn off all your electronic devices to ensure that they do not interrupt your reflection time.
Turn off your Fox News notifications.
This will help you maintain focus and depth in your contemplation. You also want to define your intention. So clearly articulate the purpose of this reflection. You are going to be peeling the onion back layer by layer. So knowing what you aim to achieve can guide your thoughts, kind of like a North Star. I suggest a moment of mindfulness, meditation, or prayer. So engage in one of these for a few minutes before you begin, starting with some deep breathing exercises. This will help you clear your mind. It will help you connect your breath to your body, and it will foster deeper introspection.
You think she believes in a Jesus who preached forgiveness of yourself instead of others? Do you think like in her Bible canon, Jesus going around turning people into wine and being like, I'll forgive myself for that one?
And you also want to approach this with an observer's perspective. So imagine you are an impartial observer of whatever runs through your mind.
That's a good point. You should be a third party to your situation in order to try and see it more objectively. However, in this situation, these people are not going to do that, because that means that they probably have to see themselves as a problem, and that would have already, like, they would be handling that a lot different already. But yes, that is what a therapist is for. That's a very good third party. That is an objective person who I also like. She talked about therapy in one of the other videos. She talks about the therapy complex, about how, like, oh, these people need to keep you feeling bad so that they keep making money, so that they keep you coming back. Therapists aren't really short of clients. If your therapist was someone who could not push you forward, they probably wouldn't have very good reviews. You could just stop going to therapy. Like, you have to be pushing towards something. Your therapist is not really incentivized to keep you feeling bad.
You just want to watch your thoughts and emotions without judging or getting entangled in them. So keep your mind open, keep it free from preconceptions and judgments. Note your reactions, let the thoughts in, see the thoughts, look at the thoughts, sit with the thoughts, and let them go. Stepping outside yourself for clarity without judgment. The only way to conquer your demons is to confront them head on. So employ visualization techniques. Visualize yourself stepping out of your body and observing yourself from a distance. This
Astral projecting because your kid cut you off is so funny to me. That is so good. No, don't stop talking to me. I'm your mother and I'll astral project right now. Even when you don't want me there, I'm there.
This can help create psychological space between you and your thoughts or emotions. Practice non-attachment. Acknowledge your thoughts and feelings without identifying with them. Understand that they are transient and they do not define you. As always, you want to cultivate.
We should have put she deleted the video where she talks about, like, therapy making people trans. But it would have been really funny to drop that clip in here. Understand that they're transient. And in the clip where she, like, puts the trans person on screen.
As always, you want to cultivate self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would a good friend. And self-judgment, like ripples on the water, clouds your ability to see clearly. Journal your observations. Writing down what you observe about yourself can absolutely provide helpful insights, and it can help you maintain an objective perspective. Practice labeling thoughts and emotions. Identify and label your thoughts and emotions as they come neutrally. So recognize them without becoming absorbed by the drama. Engage in body scan practices. Body scanning can help you connect with your physical sensations, and naming what you feel is a powerful tool for processing your emotional state without judgment. Body scanning just involves feeling what you're feeling from head to toe in the.
I think she's a robot. She has, like, two emotions. She has not even two emotions. She has two actions, right? Complain about daughter, forgive self. Like, those are her two programming languages.
Moment, and if you want more information about how to do it, you can absolutely Google it for some more techniques. You also want to embrace a growth.
That too, another time. I said this in the last video. Like, she like gets to a point where she should probably drop examples, and then she goes, you could always find more on Google. You can always find more online. You can always I have some examples, but you can find them online. If somebody send me the $20 to join her group chat, I'll do it. I'll go in. We'll go in live.
Mindset. See personal insights gained through reflection as growth opportunities. These insights are useful information. They are not criticisms of your character. Quality information will help you decide how to move forward. You might want to think a moment about identifying codependent tendencies. Are you only as happy as your least happy child? Sometimes we can become a bit codependent.
That's weird. I don't know where to draw that. Are you only as happy as your least happy child? As children, right? When they're children, you should probably be working to make sure they're good. There are plenty of times when your kid is going to be sad. That's part of being a human. It's just being sad. Are you ignoring that for the sake of your own happiness? Because that seems like a problem. Now, when they're adults, I understand kind of like having that separation. But when they're kids, shouldn't you be trying to parent them as their parent? Am I missing something? Like, is part of being a parent not being a parent?
On our kids for our identity as parents and without even realizing it. So here are some signs that maybe we've gone too far. And if any of these resonate with you, I invite you to research for more information.
If any of these resonate with you, I invite you to do more research. Again, like, you should identify the fact that she is very surface level in the way that she speaks. She won't even speak of her own experience anymore because she's trying to generalize everything and reach a larger audience. She wants the attention. And if she can do that in a way that doesn't force her to face who she is, she will. But you should identify that everything she says is very, very surface level. And to get to a level 2, she says, Google it every time. That's not something people do when they know what they're talking about. She can say that at the end. Absolutely. She could say, you could always find more online. But that's generally after people give examples or speak more of what it is they have to speak about. She's not running out of time. No one's telling her, hey, Diane, you can only make this video 17 minutes long. She could speak for the rest of her life on one topic if she wanted to. So why, as someone who just likes to vomit words, does she have nothing to say? That seems dumb to me. Again, you get to zoom into my face. I have to stare at hers.
But lack of boundaries. If you have difficulty identifying where you end and where your adult child begins, excessive caretaking, you consistently put your child's needs first, often to your own detriment. Need for approval. Your sense of self-worth is heavily identified by your child's mood. Fear of abandonment. You fear being heavily identified by your child's mood.
This is such a non-agreeable situation. Like, she speaks of a situation in which your adult estranged child probably doesn't have that great of control of their emotions. And when they feel bad, you feel bad. But that's not what this is. That's not at all what any of this is. This is a situation in which your child, your adult child, has decided that for whatever reason or reasons, they cannot be a part of your life and you cannot be a part of theirs. So why not speak on that? Like, not only is she so inspecific and refusing to speak on what she has experience on, she's driving farther away from it. Like, this is not your experience. You don't have a volatile adult child. You have one who set boundaries, had those boundaries ignored, and then set more boundaries and decided that you could not be a part of their life. That's what you have. You have a very calm, stable adult of an adult child. But you're picking situations that are not that for the sake of seeming right or seeming smart. And that's stupid. I think we could all pick a really specific argument in which we can be right in. But why not speak on what's actually happening?
Fear of abandonment. You fear being left alone or abandoned. Difficulty making decisions. If you're unable to make decisions without your child around. Neglecting other relationships. If you find yourself increasingly isolated from friends and family, this could be an issue for you. Emotional reactivity. Your emotions are heavily influenced or dictated by your child's actions.
You should have your emotions influenced by the actions of your child. I think that's just part of being a parent or being someone in someone else's life. I just don't get what Diane's getting at. Like, are you a parent? That's the problem. You should do a better job of neglecting your child. That way, when they leave, you don't feel it too hard.
Chronic stress or anxiety. If this relationship with your child just causes you ongoing stress, might want to look into codependency. Lingering despite unhappiness. You cling to this relationship despite feeling unfulfilled. or enabling unhealthy behaviors, you excuse or enable your child's harmful behaviors.
This goes back to expectation and what you expect of your child. I don't know. Again, like I'm not a parent. I don't know where the line of reasonable expectation lies for your child. I don't know. I think there are things that in 2024 you have to let go of. Like if you expect your child to be a doctor, that's weird. Or a lawyer. Like let them figure out who they want to be. You should expect your child to be a child, and you should expect your child and yourself. You should expect yourself to be able to raise someone to be a good person. From then, you should expect your child to continue to be a good person. There are mistakes. There are things that happen. That's completely fair on both sides. But she's going to go into, and she has a little bit, into children who like are abusive or criminals or who are not people she would want to be around if they weren't her child. And again, that's straying further away. That's straying further away from the relationship that she actually has and the child she actually has. The child she has is a very like calm person who has their own social media following, who exists in the world and is cared for and appreciated by other people. The child you have is someone that did not agree with the way that you raised them and was smart enough to raise themselves out of it. That is someone to be proud of, even if you're not going to be able to be proud of them within your life. And I wish they could follow their own advice and let go of the expectation of a relationship with that person and just appreciate that person for who they are. Stop stalking them on social media and be proud of them. From afar, from the seat you've been given.
Here's a little graphic that may help you decide whether or not you fall into this category.
Dude, she loves these graphics. She loves Googleable PNGs. Trying to control someone's behavior, which is what she did, right? Needing to be needed, which is not great. Activities done to excess, sure. Bad habit, needing to be needed. Manipulation, insecurity, codependent. I do think Diane fits all these, right? In looking at her first video, like she wanted to control who her daughter was. She needed her daughter to like be a part of her life, and that's why she kept texting her, which is the activity that was done to excess. But I think you can be codependent without the other person being codependent. And that's just a parasocial relationship. A parasitic one, at least.
And like I said, if
that's just dependent, Max. Right? Like if it's one-sided, it would just be dependent.
any of these points resonate, it may indicate that you might be overly dependent on this relationship. Recognizing the signs is the first step, but how do we address it? Number one, you want to understand the origins. Reflect on your past experiences and maybe recognize patterns vis-a-vis your current relationships. Number two, you want to start to set healthy boundaries.
She did not do that, right? If your daughters years apart have both decided to become estranged from you, you did a bad job of reflecting and figuring out what you did. That's on Diane and no one else but Diane.
Set those clear lines that respect both your needs and the needs of others. It's okay to say no. Number three, you want to cultivate your self-esteem. Work on building your self-worth independently of anyone else. And number four, you want to seek emotional independence. So develop some strategies to manage your emotions without relying excessively on others. Number five, you want to foster interdependence. Strive for balanced relationships where both parties contribute equally. The cold, hard truth about your estranged child.
The thing about having a relationship where you both contribute equally is that you are supposed to be the parent. And I've said it before, if you do a good enough job of being a parent, your children will find a way to pay you back. Nobody with really good parents, nobody with a good relationship with their parents is just like leaving them and not talking to them. I know plenty of people who have an awful relationship with their parents, but go, oh, but they're my parents, so I have to. That sucks. And I know a few people who like have really, really loving parents who are like, I could be here forever.
When people treat you like they don't care, believe them. While your estranged child...
Which is what you did to your daughter, right? When she gave you those reasons and you were like, doesn't apply to me, or not good enough.
They love you in their own way. You are connected genetically, and they will always hear you in their heads. They don't care enough to maintain contact. That's just the truth. So you need to acknowledge...
It's not their job to maintain contact with an abuser. I don't get why. That's like the abuser mindset. Is like, if you cared about me, you would keep talking to me despite who I am and who I am to you. That's not fair.
Acknowledge the truth. Accept that your relationship has ended and that this child doesn't care enough to maintain a relationship with you.
She's just finding different ways to just not to blame anyone but herself. And that's all this is. That's all this is ever going to be. No, you're not owed a relationship from anyone. If her mother was to her who she is to her daughter, what justification would she have to maintain the relationship other than, oh, well, that's my mom? Does anyone here have like a really good parent that they don't talk to?
At this time, prioritize yourself. Think about what this means for you going forward. Look to the future. What does your life look like going forward without your child? Understand that this may take time. You cannot control your child's decisions. You can only control your own. So this is a process. It's not a neat line. The futility of clinging to the pain body. 100% of the time, pain is a construct of the brain. Eckhart Tolle's concept of the pain body refers to the accumulation of old emotional pain that lives within us. How does clinging to this pain body degrade our mental and emotional health? Here are 9 ways. Number 1, it perpetuates the suffering. Number 2, it hinders your personal growth. Number 3, it impacts your current relationships.
Within impacting your personal growth, you have to understand what it is you want that growth to look like. And if you are someone who wants to, if you're like, cool, my kid doesn't want to talk to me, I'm gonna go be my own person, screw them. Okay, sure. But that seems like a problem. Like, I just don't get the mindset of my kid thinks I'm a bad parent and doesn't want to talk to me, so they're dead to me, which is what she's done. I think there's a lot of power in spirituality and reflection, and it helps a lot of people feel good and a lot of people grow. I think that's important. But when you use it as a means to like forgive yourself for the abuse you put onto other people, that's a problem. But they're never going to see that.
Number 4, it inhibits present moment awareness. Number 5,
no, don't feel bad about abusing your kid, dude. We're going to Six Flags today and we want you to have fun.
It feeds negative energy. Number 6, it weakens your physical health. Number 7, it limits your emotional resilience. Number 8, it obstructs your inner peace. And number 9, it undermines your authenticity. How can you truly be you with all that negativity? How can you let your heart shine?
Diane, you are the negativity. Like, that's the thing. Is like, maybe this applies to other people, but not you. You are a bad person and a bad mom and just negative. Be who you are. You did a good job of it for the first few videos. What changed? What changed? You want to seem like a smart person now? Like a good person?
With all of this garbage in it. Cultivating gratitude and compassion. Your mind is like a garden. What you sow, you reap. Rewiring your brain toward positive thought habits is essential for healing. Again, healing is an active process. It's not a state of being. So start with a gratitude journal. Each day, write not a state of being. So start with a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things that you are thankful for. You cannot be miserable when you are even the least bit grateful for something.
That's not true.
Also, you want to engage in acts of kindness. Performing random acts of kindness can cultivate compassion and improve your mood, and it also makes other people feel valued, and it just creates this ripple effect of positivity.
I feel like Diane's acts of kindness are like, oh, I didn't check to see if my doors were locked when a colored boy walked past my car. Have I mentioned that I just don't like Diane? That I just hate Diane, the way she speaks and things she says? Maybe it's the racism, maybe it's the transphobia, maybe it's the being a bad parent and refusing to take accountability. But there's something about the woman I just don't like.
Use affirmations. Affirming statements like, I am a loving mother who is strong, resilient, and joyful.
Okay, so lie to yourself. Lie to yourself to make yourself feel better. That is what you've been doing this entire time. I'm a loving mother. Your mother who maybe is capable of loving people who aren't your children, I guess. So technically true.
These practices can rewire your brain to embody these qualities if you make them a habit. You also want to cultivate patience. Practicing patience, and especially in these challenging situations, can really help you develop your compassion. And you want to expand your perspective. Try to understand situations from others' points of view.
This, again, like I've said this 4, 5, 6 times in the last 2 videos. This would be good advice if it wasn't from her. Try to understand the perspective of others is good advice. But we know her and she didn't do that and she won't do that.
Including your estranged child. This can absolutely increase empathy, reduce judgment, and foster compassion. You also want to celebrate the successes of others. Feeling joy for someone else's achievements can enhance your sense of gratitude, and it can also reduce feelings of envy or scarcity.
I feel like she adopts people's celebrations more so than celebrates with them. You should absolutely find it in you to celebrate people's victories with them. Yes, you should be happy for other people. But I feel like she may adopt them because she may not have very many of her own. I'm a big like, you did great, congratulations type of person instead of like, we did it, right? Sometimes in like Elite Fours, people will be like Run and Bun or Emerald Kaizo, and in the comment section, you'll be like, oh, we did it. Someone will be like, we did it. We did such a good job. And that always feels weird to me. I get that it's not meant to be like a weird thing, but I'm always like, it's just like semantics. It feels weird to me. I understand that it's not. That's a me problem.
Especially when people report back to you on their grandchildren and how wonderful everything is. This is a hard one if you're not able to access that relationship, but truly being happy for that person and that at least they have a relationship with their grandchildren, that can really help you on the path to healing. And you want to express appreciation regularly, again, expressing gratitude to others through words or actions, saying thank you. This not only boosts your gratitude, but it also strengthens your relationships with these people, and it helps you on that path to healing. The power of forgiveness.
Oh, but okay, no. She did it. She said it first. Stop it. Stop. How many times can you say this in a day, dude? And you know that's in a day because she records 3 videos at a time. The last 3 videos, she was wearing the exact same thing. I think 4 actually. And these like this video, the last video, and probably the next video, which she's going to be wearing the same thing. How many times in a 50-minute span can you say, forgive yourself? Forgive yourself, forgive yourself, forgive yourself for those things you did unto others. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. You should forgive other people to let go of that resentment and to what it is that you're holding on to. But to forgive yourself in their place, it's okay if you don't forgive me. I forgive me is wild.
Will mend your soul. The power of forgiveness, whether directed inwardly or toward others, can have an incredibly profound and transforming effect on your life. When you are ready, and you may not be, I understand, but when you are ready, here are 10 reasons to forgive. Number 1, it fosters inner peace. Forgiving frees you from the grip of resentment and anger and bitterness, paving the way for that inner peace and tranquility which we all seek. Number 2.
I think if you want to be a peaceful person, you should be purposefully ignorant. If you don't ever want to have to deal with anything or think of anything that is like in any way negative, you should just feign ignorance. Nothing matters if you don't have to think about it. If nothing applies to you out in the world and you can ignore it, okay, do it. Go be happy. If you're not someone who is ever going to be the victim of racism, prejudice, transphobia, I guess you have the option to ignore it. Those aren't people I ever want to be friends with, but more power to you, I guess.
It improves your mental health. Letting go of grudges and bitterness can lead to reduced stress, anxiety, and depression, and it can improve your overall mental well-being. Number 3, it enhances physical health. Forgiveness is actually associated with better heart health. It lowers blood pressure and improves immune function because chronic anger and resentment literally destroy the body.
What are you even mad about? Like, what are you mad about? You're mad about your child setting a boundary you refuse to follow? If she said, I was mad at myself and I learned to let go of that and to stop being mad at myself, that is so much easier to understand than to say that she forgave herself. You can let go of your own anger towards yourself while still understanding that it is not on you to forgive yourself for the actions you did to other people. But just straight washing away your sins because you feel like you can and you feel like you're the victim just feels so gross to me.
Number 4, it promotes emotional healing. So forgiving ourselves and others allows emotional wounds to heal, enabling us to move forward without being anchored to the past. Number 5, it improves relationships. Forgiveness can repair strained relationships, fostering understanding, empathy, and closer emotional connections. Number 6, it encourages personal growth. The act of forgiving can lead to profound personal growth, increased self-awareness, and a deeper understanding of human frailties, including our own.
Yes, but you should forgive other people. That's how that works. You should forgive other people, and you'll gain a lot of insight into why people do things, how they react, and whether or not they're able to grow and learn. Something that I don't appreciate about apologies, and it's the reason why I apologize a lot. Sometimes, not with my close friends. Don't ask me why. It's going to be it's going to be a whole conversation. But like with people that I have relationships with, or even strangers, I'll apologize a lot. But I don't ever want to be apologized to because I just don't believe it. And it would feel really, really bad to me if you did something that made me feel bad, apologized, and then did it again. I'd rather just not have an apology in the middle. And so in forgiving people, you learn a lot about who they are and about whether or not their apology was like, oh, I'm sorry it happened, it's going to happen again, or I'm sorry, I'll learn from this.
Number 7, it facilitates letting go. Forgiveness helps us let go of these past grievances. It enables us to embrace the present and look forward to the future with optimism. Number 8, it cultivates compassion. Through forgiveness, we develop.
Am I tripping her? She said cultivates like 15 times.
Number 8, it cultivates compassion. Through forgiveness, we develop compassion for ourselves and others, recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and deserves understanding and empathy.
That is something you're only going to say about yourself. If you were in this situation reversed, you would not be worried about what people think, because you don't have a big reason to feel that shame. But you're in this situation because of something you did. So now you're bringing up compassion and empathy because you're the victim. I'd forgive me, so you should forgive me too, is what it sounds like, when I don't think you would. You can't forgive your daughter for being the victim. So how would it make sense that if you were the victim, you'd forgive your abuser?
Number 9, it boosts self-esteem. Forgiving ourselves for our own mistakes can.
What forgiveness for her should look like, if she really wants to use and just beat in that word, what forgiveness would look like is Diane would go on her daughter. I understand that you had to set boundaries, and I understand that you had to go even further away from me when I did not adhere to those boundaries. I'm sorry that I did that. The decision you made to cut me from your life must have been very hard. I forgive you for that. That's still not great. And there's no reason for her to get there, but that's the only way I can see this happening, to where it's not her being super self-absorbed and her essentially going, I forgive myself for abusing you.
Can lead to increased self-acceptance, self-love, and self-respect. And number 10, it attracts positivity. By releasing negative emotions and adopting a forgiving mindset, we open ourselves to positive experiences, relationships, and opportunities. Forgiveness is power. It is the power to leave the past behind and the power to change what lies before you. Holding a grudge doesn't make you strong. It makes you bitter. Forgiving doesn't make you weak. It sets you free.
Yeah, but you have nothing to forgive anyone else
So your
for.
homework, if you're serious about healing, is to schedule 2 hours to deeply reflect on your estrangement and go do it. Free of distractions, in a quiet place where you can be by yourself, uninterrupted, with all the comforts you need to truly reflect on your estrangement without judgment, with self-compassion, with kindness, and with the expectation that you can move through this. And then the second thing I want you to do is to remember to be thankful for anything that you can every single day. Just 5 minutes. That's all I ask. It can be the smallest things. Again, rewiring your brain like this is a practice that is truly helpful for healing. So I invite you to make this a daily ritual.
You will get the exact same thing out of her situation and what she's talking about by sitting in a room, covering your own ears with your hands and going, not my fault, not my fault, not my fault, her fault. It's my daughter's fault. It's my daughter's fault. It's my daughter's fault. It's my daughter's fault. Eventually, that's just going to weave its way into your brain. And then you're good. You do the exact same thing. That's what Diane did. I forgave her. I forgave myself. I forgave myself for abusing her because it's not my fault. It's her 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 fault. Congratulations, Diane. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're a bad person, a bad mom. The worst part is that you're teaching people to be who you are, and that's a bad person. I hope no more than a few people are taking her advice. I'm not giving advice either. Go to therapy. Go to a professional for help.
Be grateful for anything you can. And as a reminder, I am not a therapist. I am just a mom who has gone through this process of moving from heartbreak to healing, and I'm sharing my experiences for anyone who might be interested.
My issue here is, one, you're a mom who was the problem, who did that. You did this yourself. You're not sharing your experience anymore. You're not. When you're giving people homework, you're giving people a list of things to do, and you refuse to elaborate on them at all or say, I know this because I went through this part here, any of this, you're just handing out information that is probably not even yours. And it's infuriating. I hate how often she's brought up that she's forgiven herself. You had nothing to forgive yourself for. And that is just perpetuating the way her daughter felt, right? Because if you imagine going your entire life feeling unheard and unloved and seeing your mom go, well, I forgive myself for that.
So now that you understand deep reflection and that process and how to go through it, once you've done it, you are ready to learn more about radical acceptance, which is the thing that can set you free. So I'll see you in the next video.